Hello everyone and welcome to the movie show. My name is Tyler Calkins and today we're going to be doing something that I'd like to call movie chats. I'm joined by my brother Justin Lindsey.
How's everybody doing?
Hello. And we just walked out of The Joker. I have seen this film before twice and I already have my review up on the channel to discuss, so I kind of want to get more your thoughts. We've walked out of the movie. You're already intimating you didn't really, so tell me what you thought.
It was boring.
Why is it boring for you? I'm okay. So I get that it's a little bit of a slog at the top. Is that what it is?
It's a slog at the top. The only action you get, so when he kills the first three people, spoiler by the way.
This is full spoilers, everybody. So yeah, we're spoil away. This is movie chats. This is full spoiler. If you haven't seen Joker, go home. Go ahead.
When he kills the first three people, you get a little taste, and up until right before he gets introduced onto Murray, that's when he really becomes the Joker. That's the only time really I got into the movie, and even then it just seemed kind of he's not the Joker to me. He's not what I would classify as the Joker. Yes, he's a little crazy. Yes, he's got that weirdness to him, but he's a little too weird for me, if you ask me.
Okay, like you would kind of more want, and I certainly I know your love for Heath Ledger's Joker performance in The Dark Knight, and it's so hard not to compare this to it to some extent, just because that's the bar, right? I think for me, there was parts of it that were so quintessential Joker, it just made me smirk. Like, for instance, when he shoots himself in the head and he's imagining the crowd cheering and he's just smiling and he loves that. To me, that's like his face and his look and his vibe is just quintessential Joker.
See, that's too dark for me. Joker was never that dark.
Joker has absolutely been that dark.
Not shoot yourself in the face.
Joker shot Barbara Gordon to paralyze her and then stripped her naked and took pictures of her in The Killing Joke.
In what movie?
In the comic book.
Yeah, in the comic book, okay. So, yes and no. I feel it's almost too much of a mental illness thing. You know what I mean? Like, Joker's always had a mental illness thing, but I feel like he's too weird. He's just too weird as a Joker.
Yeah, it was like too much. It was too much. It was too odd. For me, I feel like this movie, like the biggest central theme to it is basically like empathy.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when people don't have empathy or don't give a shit. Is that when society doesn't care, when they don't care about people's general services, this is what happens to people.
They definitely posted a nastier picture of like the upper class for sure. They definitely they painted this nastier picture of what the middle class or the upper class is, I guess, to society and whatever. The Thomas Waynes, the Murrays, they don't care about the people down on the bottom, and that's probably why the Joker became who he was.
I think that's why for you though, and certainly it is the most powerful parts of the film, is that Murray Franklin scene.
Absolutely.
I mean that to me is like fire. That whole 20 minutes.
That was definitely.
15 minutes.
Did you know what he was getting ready to say to the camera?
That's life.
Really?
Yeah, he was getting ready to do Murray's catchphrase.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
it sounded like he was getting ready to say, "Let's put a smile on that face."
Is it not there? That's callback though. Him looking at that camera and having that conversation with the camera is such a callback to Joker. In The Dark Knight.
Sure, he didn't, because he even says what I always say. And then they cut it off.
He goes, "That's." And he was getting ready to say life. And they show it later on when they're doing like the news camera footage, and the cops tackle him. He says, "That's life." If you watch it again. Okay. Yeah, there is callbacks to other Jokers, which I enjoyed personally for me. Like, I love, like, when he's crossing out, and I said this in my review, when he's crossing out the "don't forget to smile," and he just, it just crosses out, so it says "don't smile." To me, that was very, like, Jack Nicholson's Joker, like when he was painting the paintings in the art gallery in the first Batman. I feel like Joker in the back of the cop car, that shot of him and the city in chaos, like...
There's definitely a few moments that I feel like, that's a good Joker reference, but there's most of the time I just get this weird, just same way with Jared Leto, just a different weirdness.
Jared Leto was, I don't know many people who love Jared Leto's performance. I certainly didn't love it in Suicide Squad.
I will love this guy as the Joker going forward, because once he dressed up as the Joker, he had that facade, then he's full Joker at that point. You kind of feel like it's a good Joker, right? At that point, though. Only in that last half hour of the movie.
I agree. He's not full Joker until then. He only starts to have pieces of Joker.
The same guy. The thing is he's the same character It's just once he's in that makeup, it seems right.
It makes more sense.
It makes more sense. So you really I could have done without that first hour and a half of that movie.
Yeah.
And just show me that last half hour.
See,
and I'd
I
be
think
all right
to me that first hour is what solidifies kind of the themes of the film, though. Like when he gets mugged in the alleyway, when he gets mugged on the bus. See, and I know that people are like, I feel like it glorifies kind of violence. Fuck those muggers. I feel like they were mugging him and they got shot, and that's what happens. Like, fuck you dudes. Like, that's bullshit.
Oh, I definitely. I mean, I love the fact that he stood up for himself. Don't like that he shot 3 people, and then I mean that's kind
they
of.
They were asking for it. I'm sorry.
I can't believe that he got away with that. He got away with.
He didn't get away with it. They just couldn't find him. They couldn't find him. They ended up getting him. He goes to jail or he goes to the mental institution. They just couldn't. He kept dodging them.
It's definitely. I mean, it's an okay. I would rank it on a scale from 1 to 10, probably like a 4 or 5.
Like a 4 or 5. I like it's kind of a modern day masterpiece to me right now, in the fact that it's one of the best movies of the year.
We
and
had
I
to have another Wayne killing. Oh my gosh!
I was. I talked about that in my review because I was like, what are people gonna think about this? Like, and I was okay with it because I feel like it was giving us like, here we are connecting kind of stories and this is where we're going next. But I'm not surprised people feel that way.
Oh man.
Why is it like watching Uncle Ben die again? It's just like, okay, enough.
We've already seen it 5 or 6 times and it's the same thing every time, just a different story behind it. And it's like, we already knew what happened. You could have literally showed you could have showed a funeral of the two, or you didn't have to show the killing again. We've seen the killing over and over and over.
See, at first, like, I'm with you. Like, on principle, I'm like, dude, no, I can't do it again. But in the scene that it was, and the chaos in the street, and, like, I'm just, like, wrapped in the chaos, and then all of a sudden I realize, like, oh, my God, there's Thomas and Martha and Bruce walking out of the theater. We're about to have a moment, and it happens.
And see, as soon as they walked out of the theater, I knew what was coming.
See, I did, too. But I was so wrapped up in other stuff that when it started happening, I was like, oh, my God. Super exciting.
I just wasn't that wrapped up. I really didn't care much for any of the meetings between him and his counselor. I didn't care much for him and his mom's relationship, or lack thereof of his mom's relationship, because it wasn't really his mom. And then he kills her, he snuffs her out.
I've watched it 3.
How did he get away with that too? Like,
he didn't. He killed her and he left the hospital. And again, they figure he left there, went to his apartment, got all dolled up. His friends come over, he kills those 2, then he goes to the Franklin Murray show.
Kills that one.
He kills the one. He lets the other go. Yeah, sorry. He does let the little person go. I didn't know if I love that scene because you don't know if Joker's gonna kill that little person or not. Like, you don't know.
He's well, at least in every other form of, he's always been honest. If he tells you he's not gonna kill you, he's not gonna kill you.
Even watching it this 3rd time around, he gives us like this little like eye look, like he's looking down, but like he's like, I might kill you, and I won't, because he says it. The only reason he doesn't is because he was the only person who was nice to him. Mm-hmm. What do you think of so? Because I've watched it 3 times and now I think I've solidified an opinion. What do you think of the Thomas Penny Fleck? Is that a real thing? Is it not a real thing?
It's not a real thing. The adoption papers were there.
Okay.
He was definitely adopted.
See, I don't buy it. So here's what I know. I think that Penny is a damaged individual who let all of that abuse happen to her son, and that affected him. I believe that piece of it happened. But also, and you might have missed this little detail, so when he turns that picture over of his mother, it says, "Love your smile, TW," on the back of that picture. Love your smile, Thomas Wayne.
She could have wrote that, though.
She could have, which is very possible. But to me, I feel like with someone like Thomas Wayne, in the way that at least they've characterized this version of Thomas Wayne, he seems like the dude who's got everything. I've got the money, I've got the power, I've got this poster child wife, this poster child, but I gotta philander a little, right? Because those dudes philander, I feel like, was the impression I was getting from that character. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm projecting some shit on him, but I don't philander, but you know what I'm saying? So for me, I feel like, yes, I feel like Thomas had an affair with Penny Fleck. I feel like what happened next is that he made her sign a non-disclosure agreement that this wasn't his kid, and faked up some, adoption papers because he knows people in high places. And I think ultimately she went a little crazier over it, got into a bad relationship with someone she was looking to have love with, and he ended up being abusive toward her son, fucking her son up, and now the cycle of abuse just like continues.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
I don't think so.
To me, is on the third watch, I feel like the adoption papers are in that file because Thomas Wayne created those adoption papers in that file. Because the child came from unknown places.
I honestly wish I could care more. Because, again, that movie I was just wanting to fall asleep the whole time.
Man, I
was bored.
I got a little bit tired, but this is my third watch and it's late at night, so like, you know what I mean? That's what happens. But like,
I was bored all the way up until he gets dressed for Murray. Once he gets dressed for Murray, it's kind of like okay because he's dressed up as the Joker and you get a full Joker appearance. Other than that, that movie was boring.
I feel like this is a similar problem to what you have with like Batman Superman. Is like you only got your Batman Superman in the last like 25 minutes of the movie or 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah, I mean you call a movie Joker and he dresses up as the Joker for the last 10 minutes.
But it's the story of him turning into the Joker. He's not going to be the Joker in moment one when he comes out of the film. What would be the point of watching an origin story at that point?
Tell me a story in the first 10-15 minutes and then give me the next hour and a half of a Joker film. I want a Joker film, man. I don't want to... You could have told that whole first hour and a half could have been told in 15-20 minutes.
I don't know about that.
You could have had one of those sessions with the counselor. I am nothing but unhappy thoughts. Shoots the 3 dudes on the subway, turns into Joker, causes a bunch of mayhem. Why not? Why not?
I feel like that's much less of a movie. I feel like there's so much more going on in this film than that. I mean, I feel like you've got such...
And if I have to hear that dude laugh like that one more goddamn time, I swear to God, I'm going to gouge my own ears out with a pick.
Here's what I think is funny, is, so, like, even, like, funny lines. So he walks into the door. People in the theater laughed.
No.
Yes, there was.
Very little.
But still...
There was, like, one snicker.
In this movie, you're not really supposed, right? You're supposed to feel some type of sympathy for that character, and even still, like, we can't shut that off enough to not laugh at this guy. He's in the middle of getting interrogated by the cops. His mom just had a stroke, and we chuckle at his misfortune.
Yeah, well, I mean, anybody's gonna laugh about somebody walking into the fucking door.
I get that to some extent, but I just think it's funny. I think it's an interesting kind of dynamic. I think my biggest thing with this movie and why I think it's relevant and why I think it speaks to me is I think it speaks a lot to empathy. And I think this character, nobody gives a shit about him.
I personally think there's some people who might be a little biased toward DC films.
I'm certainly one of them.
And you might enjoy these DC films more because of it. Justice League. This movie, trash.
I just did a rant on Justice League. Nobody likes Justice League. We like pieces of Justice League, but the film is a Frankenstein monster of a film that should have never been put out.
Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman is a good film. The Ultimate Edition. It's grown on me a lot more as it's gone on. When you compare it to like Justice League, which is actual trash, and then like this that had like a vision Batman Superman, not to get off topic, but to me that's okay.
This movie.
And I'm not the only one who believes Joker's doing good. A lot of people really love this film. That's why it's making as much money as it is.
It's insane to me that this movie's making money.
I think it's more insane than a film like Aladdin makes $1 billion because that's actual trash.
Minutes, maybe even an hour of this movie is just you could literally throw it right in the bucket.
I don't believe so. I think it's relevant to society today, right now. That whole opening scene where he's just trying to get on with his day, and in the background you've got that whole protest about the garbage and like, oh, this affects regular people, but it's people who are upper class and like they don't know what it's like to live in the trash, where people in the bottom of the rung know what it's like to live in the trash every day. You know what I mean? I feel like the film did a great job with symbolism and with kind of speaking to what today's kind of ills are and like a mob mentality. So you got those protesters out there doing all that and they're fighting with the cops and it's chaos. And in that chaos, Joker slips in and, meets Thomas Wayne. I think that's great symbolism for like when you don't have some type of order and structure and societal, taking care of one another, this is what shit turns into and danger can slip in under the cracks and cause problems.
I'm not buying it. You can't sell it to me. Sorry.
Look, you got an opinion on film. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But yeah,
I was honestly, and I'm just being 100%. I was ready to walk out at about an hour.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's really unfortunate to me.
If it hadn't have been the movie that we were going to talk about, I would have definitely left.
Oof.
For sure.
That's rough because, like, to me, that's so off base, and I
10 minutes of that movie at least is as a dude laughing in his underwear. I'm sorry, but that is not appealing to me.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a number of shots of. There's not that many shots.
There's at least like 10 minutes of that film where he is smoking a cigarette for one. He's smoking a cigarette through that whole movie.
He is smoking all throughout. The only one that was
he laughs in his underwear for at least.
No, I don't think it's 10 minutes.
7 to 10 minutes of that movie.
No, because the only time that I think he's in his underwear is like when he's laying in his bed and then when he's dancing around.
When he's dancing around.
I don't think he's in underwear when he's on a couch.
Absolutely. He was watching. Oh, what was he watching? The dude downstairs was like, "Knock it off!"
Oh, after he killed his fake girlfriend and her daughter.
Yeah. Oh, he killed them?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even get that.
I totally got that. How did you not get that?
Because there was no blood. There was no nothing.
Well, no. Why would they show that? That would be awful. Him killing a kid. Nobody wants to watch that.
They showed him killing everybody else.
I know, but they wouldn't. That I feel like would be a step too far.
I feel like there's no evidence to prove that he killed them.
Oh, I think he killed both of them. I think because there's sirens coming right towards that building, right outside his window, as soon as he goes back to his apartment.
If that's the case, and that's the night before he gets arrested, and he doesn't go to Murray. There's no way. There's no way.
They don't figure out it's him immediately. It's the 70s. It's the 80s.
I'm just not buying it.
I don't know. I buy it. I mean, I feel like, in hindsight...
if he did kill her and the daughter, then they did a terrible job telling me they did.
I mean, I intimated that. So, I picked that up from the film. I don't know if I'm the only person who thinks that. I might be. But that's just... I feel like, without question, he killed the two of them. You think he just turned around and left?
I don't know. He didn't kill any kids up to that point. Why would he kill a kid now?
He was killing everybody up to that point.
He wasn't killing no kids?
He was killing anybody he wanted to.
Nah, not any kids.
Not any kids, but he hadn't really ran into a lot of kids yet. He ran into Bruce, and he ran into the one little boy, and...
But he ran into Bruce, ran into that boy on the fucking bus, the kid that was in that room with the next door neighbor. There's like 3 or 4 kids he has encounters with.
In the room with the next door neighbor.
Yeah, the
little girl yes. In the elevator. They had like a little whatever. Yes. I don't know. To me, like I empathize with the character to some extent. He's still a scumbag who murders a bunch of people, and like you can't do that. But so in that scene where like he's on the bus and he's had a really awful day and he's about to get fired from his job and he's just trying to be nice to a little kid, and somebody on the bus is like, "Don't fucking talk to my son," right? And it's like, what the hell, man? He's just trying to, like, make something happen. And I'm getting, like, she's worried. She's in a city. She doesn't want somebody, talking to her kid. But, like, I feel for her in that moment because he's just trying to make it better. And then he laughs. And then she's like, what's so funny? And, like, it's like he says in the bathroom with Thomas Wayne, how much is just a little bit of decency out of people? And I think that's kind of the point of the film. And that's what I identify with.
Well, that's a terrible point to make.
I don't think it's a terrible point to make. I think the people who don't get that point are the people who think they're above that kind of shit. And to me, like, there can be more empathy and understanding and decency amongst all human beings at all times.
That is such a Democratic thing to say.
I don't even want to put it in that realm. Why isn't it a humane thing to say?
Because, Tyler, where I come from, you have to take care of yourself and your family.
Well, that comes from, like, and I think...
if that means I have to shield my kid from some weirdo behind my kid trying to make him smile by making weird faces at him, then that is what it is. You can call me dickhead, you can call me fucking cold or whatever you want to call me. I'm not
saying I don't understand her fear or her worry. I'm just saying, like, the world
So at what point am I supposed to show this guy empathy?
I think in that moment, what would have...
like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead and play with my kid. Go ahead.
Well, you're making funny faces at him. Why is that hurting your kid?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's not.
Weird. It's weird.
It's not.
It's weird. And I feel like you might snatch my kid as soon as I look away.
Well, I mean, then don't. I mean, if you feel that kind of weird, then yes, then I guess you would obviously you would say something. But I don't know. I mean, I guess.
At what point does my have to be empathetic toward him take precedence over me having to protect me and my child? Do you feel me?
I didn't feel like there was any danger there.
But how... This is the guy who took a gun on Murray and blew Murray's face off.
Way later in the film. I don't even think he'd been handed...
Way later in the film, which is like 3 days later.
He hadn't even been handed the gun at that point.
Which is like 3 days later.
No, it's not. No, not at all. He had another meeting with his doctor after that, which would have been at least a couple weeks after the first one. He'd lost his medication up to that point, after the second meeting, and you slowly watch him spiral into horseshit because he doesn't have his meds anymore.
Okay. At most, it's a month down the road.
I would say even a month without your meds with someone who is clearly that mentally affected, can cause a problem like that. I don't think he was as crazy clearly, just look what happens when someone hands him the gun. And he's like, whoa, I can't take this.
But then he does, and he's making tricks and jokes about it 5 minutes later. You're telling me that I'm supposed to be empathetic to somebody like that.
I'm saying...
Because of society, because that's the right thing to do.
I know. What I'm saying is that it's okay to be empathetic in like a kind of a stranger situation. Always keep your guard up, I guess. Obviously, like, we live in a world that people can do bad things.
She was keeping her guard up. That's the point.
I guess I have a difference of keeping my guard up. I'm more like, okay, let's assess the situation. This isn't really dangerous. I'm going to kind of keep my ear out. Okay, it's not weird yet. Okay, now it's weird. All right, now I'm going to detach us. Like that. That's kind of my that's escalation
thing.
I
can see that because you have yourself to take care of. When you have a group such as I have me, my wife, and kids. As the leader of the pack, I have to make sure that I'm a step ahead of the game. I am making sure that I'm preventatively maintaining my
totally understood. I think that speaks to people like the movie's trying to tell you is more like Thomas Wayne.
Call me Thomas Wayne.
I'm doing it. I'm gonna go out there and on a limb because that is some Thomas Wayne kind of. I'm gonna worry about me. I'm gonna worry about what I got to do. I'm gonna worry about my future, and all you clowns who I don't think amount to anything or deserve anything are clowns.
Should have worked harder.
See, that's some trashy shit. Joker had nothing to be afforded to. He tried to work. He tried to have a gig. He's all fucked up, and the world just kicked him to the curb. Hey, we're cutting your funding. Oh, hey, you had a therapist, but now you don't, even though she wasn't doing a lot for you anyway, but now you got less than nothing. Oh, those meds you had, now you have less than nothing. And society, like Thomas Wayne, just looks at him and goes, you're a fucking clown. You didn't work hard enough.
I sure as hell wouldn't say that. I mean,
that's the line. That's what Thomas said. That, you know, these people are clowns.
Yep.
Who have never, and we've amounted to something and you haven't amounted to anything. That's on you. And I think that's terrible. And I think this movie speaks to that kind of.
So it's terrible to try to live out your dreams and to live out your dreams and to become so cold-hearted. You have to shut out the bad.
Oh my God, you don't have to shut down.
I don't have time to take care of my stuff and take care of Arthur Fleck.
You can't take care of the whole world, but you can be decent to people. I think that's the point, right? Like you can be
I'll nod
decent.
and say, hey.
And that's what I mean. That's kind of your thing. So I don't get, like, I think you're more decent than you let on. I think that's kind of all it is. I'm not saying you have to like give up your you know, all. I mean, people should be charitable, and I think we are. But you know, I don't think people should give up all their worldly possessions to you know help somebody, because how are you going to take care of yourself?
This movie was stupid.
But I don't think it's stupid. I think it was a great film.
So many levels.
No, I don't think it was dumb like that. I enjoyed it. I appreciate you giving your opinion on it. I'm bummed that you didn't like it as much. I loved it, especially that last 20 minutes of the film. I thought it was absolute fire.
Last 25 minutes, absolutely, I'll take it for what it is. It gives me a Joker to look forward to in the future. That's not Jared Leto, but the first hour and a half of that movie could have just been tossed totally in the trash, and I'd have been okay with it.
I got bad news for you, too. I don't know if this guy's going to continue as Joker, because it's kind of a one-off film. So,
which is all right with me, too.
Because we'll probably have a new Joker when it comes along.
I'm okay with that, too.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thank you for coming and listening to some movie chats. This was our kind of inaugural movie chat. Hope you enjoyed differing opinions on the film. Obviously, I loved it. Justin did not love it. But, hey, that's what movies are all about. Tell me your comments down below. What did you think of Joker? Go check out my review. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell so you don't miss any of my new content. As always, I appreciate you listening. We'll see you soon. Bye.